Good morning, everyone, and welcome to webinar number 4 of CPE's 24-25 series that's focused on early post-secondary opportunities in Kentucky. My name is Robin Hebert, and I'm joined today by my CPE colleague, Trinity Walsh. We're excited to host today's session on behalf of CPE's Student Access and Success Unit. Our webinars this year will all be focused on Kentucky's big goal: for more and more Kentuckians to earn a post-secondary degree or credential that leads them to a fulfilling career, strong long-term earning potential, and a better Kentucky all around. Here at CPE, we're convinced that opening up more opportunities for students to experience college or advanced coursework while they're still in high school can really change the trajectory of their futures in really positive ways. And it can also support the current and future Kentucky workforce needs. So in summary, that's what this webinar series is all about. We'll hear from experts and researchers and practitioners, all of the stakeholders in this ecosystem we're in together, so that we can make sure that anyone in Kentucky who wants to pursue post-secondary education and an in-demand career is able and well supported to make that dream a reality. Now, today's session takes a bit of a turn from dual credit conversations to a related topic, which is Kentucky's workforce. We are joined today by Michaela Manier, who's a senior associate from CPE's Workforce and Economic Development Unit. Michaela, along with the VP of this unit, Dr. Leslie Sizemore, has invested a lot of time and energy into the healthcare sector in Kentucky, and they've done this in collaboration with a lot of stakeholders in our state. Here at CPE, we see the career continuum beginning early in K-12 education as we educate young people about career opportunities in fields such as healthcare, and then help them find an education pathway that leads to career options in that field. So today we welcome Michaela into the early post-secondary space, and we want to make connections from the in-demand workforce careers and the needs of that space to K-12 and post-secondary education and training options. So welcome, Michaela. And let's begin today by hearing just a little bit about your role here at CPE and the Workforce and Education Development Unit. So in a sentence or two, help us understand why healthcare has been such a major focus of your and Dr. Sizemore's work.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me today, Robin. I got to join CPE about 3 years ago, but specifically joined the workforce team about a year ago, specifically with the goal in mind of serving the healthcare workforce population and all of those stakeholders. Ever since COVID, we have known, it's come to light more, that there are numerous healthcare workforce shortages across all professions in the industry area. And at CPE, we really target trying to get more students into that pipeline from K-12 into post-secondary opportunities, whether that's a short-term certificate, associate's degree, or even all the way to a 4-year or above degree, to help them get the training and credentials they need to fill those vacancies in those roles.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Michaela. I think it's so important for us to be thinking about, as we're trying to get more students into the post-secondary arena, that there's something there that they're reaching toward, something meaningful, an in-demand career that will be fulfilling and allow them to earn a living wage here in Kentucky. I appreciate you being here to talk a little bit about that. We don't typically begin with a presentation as such, but I know today's just a different kind of day, and that you have some information about the current landscape of Kentucky's healthcare workforce. So let's begin our conversation today just by hearing some of the facts from you about the landscape.
Sure, and I will pull up my slides, and hopefully I will not bore folks too much today. The beauty of the healthcare workforce space is there's a lot. It's very complex, and it's a conversation that I know I've had to take about a year to get to really dive into, to understand all the nitty-gritty underneath of it. And so at CPE, we partner really heavily with the Kentucky Hospital Association. The Kentucky Hospital Association has a wonderful partner because not only do they have a really strong knowledge base of what it looks like across the state and what is needed across the state in the healthcare space, but they do a lot of advocacy for also other types of healthcare practices as well. And so whenever we look at their data, every year they submit an annual workforce survey report. We are always flabbergasted to find that the numbers fluctuate just a little bit. On the bright side, these numbers are already a little bit lower than what they were for last year. So I'm going to dive into what the statewide vacancy rate is. So what it's important to note is that this vacancy rate not only includes nurses, doctors, all of those frontline healthcare workers that you think of, but also those positions that are behind the scenes helping manage the hospital, accountants, janitorial staff, food service. So all of together, there's a large holistic view of the healthcare space, all of the roles that make the healthcare space work. If you think about it like how a high school works or how a school system works, there's a lot of moving pieces. Well, the hospital space is the exact same way. And so whenever you think about all the roles that go into making that space work and function well every single day to serve Kentuckians, sadly, right now we have a 15.3% vacancy rate. As you can see, the largest vacancy rates are in Eastern Kentucky and then as you get further Western Kentucky, it gets a little bit less. However, good note that you can't see today is last year, over half of the map was in a bluer shade. So we are improving in some marginal gains. And so, as I mentioned, this spans the board of all different types of healthcare providers, not just the ones that are writing your prescriptions or at the bedside. This also includes social workers, food services, coders, everyone involved in that holistic process. The largest shortage and what we hear about the most in our media is always going to be right now nurses, paramedics, those first responder more like roles. As you get down into it, especially those that have maybe more of a higher degree level required, those are kind of less of a shortage area, but they still exist. If you look, you see pharmacy is still on here. And so it's really important to know across the board, we need to do something because not only do we have a shortage, but there's a high turnover rate. And this is where not only can we not control that on the healthcare post-secondary side, we can just help bring this to light. And so KHA also includes turnover data. So even though we may be getting as many students as we can into that pipeline and graduating from those degrees, and you'll see some data about how we're doing with that pipeline progress here later, we can only do so much on the education side. We have to really encourage our employer partners to make sure they're having good benefits, good employer relations, good onboarding strategies to really keep our students in Kentucky once they graduate, also keeping them in the same location. And so overall, the turnover rate is pretty high at 24%, but I will say this is still down a little bit from last year. So since a lot of these harder conversations have started, we have seen those marginal gains and improvement. And this is where Kentucky comes into play. So you've probably heard numerous times about our 60 by 30 goal, and this is really where our healthcare workforce initiatives lie. We not only want to take the work of our post-secondary institutions and create pipelines to get students into the programs, we want to strengthen the relationship holistically from K-12 to post-secondary training, all the way up to the day they are entering that industry partner level. And so we focus a lot through our Healthcare Workforce Collaborative on that holistic approach of aligning state workforce needs with our higher ed initiatives, programs, and curriculum. That way, we're not speaking two languages. We are all coming to the table, sharing our needs and understanding, hey, here's how we collectively, as both post-secondary and industry, can help lower that vacancy rate and help lower that turnover rate as well. And so over the past 22 months, with 48 employer partners and 23 campuses, Dr. Leslie Sizemore, my supervisor and mentor, has led the Healthcare Workforce Collaborative, and it has been an honor to jump in on this work. We were funded, of course, from some state recovery funds from COVID, and we were able to give about $8 million in grants to our institutions. Those dollars are still being utilized through 2026 to help support healthcare training programs, equipment needs, or other programming sorts. That way they can really strive to excel in training students to meet those workforce needs. We meet on a quarterly basis with the Healthcare Workforce Advisory Group, and there are sometimes even 20 people at the table. Half our industry, about a third are government, and another third are our post-secondary institutions, both public, private, and KCTCS, all to have conversations about faculty shortages and student capacity issues, and really trying to problem solve even how can our industry partners lend a hand in maybe allowing an employee to go teach a class, be an adjunct professor for a semester to help allow the capacity of that program to increase. So we're trying to really think critically and problem solve with this group. And because of this problem solving, we can't fix everything just yet. We're only 22 months in. However, we're seeing some overall gains. And so the next 3 slides, I'm going to walk through decently quick where we're at today with our improvements in the healthcare related program enrollment across our state. Please note this is preliminary. We have not finalized it yet. We will get the final numbers in the upcoming weeks, but we do anticipate it not to change too much. And this is both our privates and our 4-year publics and our KCTCS institutions. Overall, we have seen a 5% increase in students enrolling in health-related programs, which is super exciting. What this can mean is that that's at a certificate, associate, bachelor, undergrad, or graduate level. You can see on the screen a lot of that gain has been through the associate's degree level, more of those entry level in with those stackable credentials where they can go on a transfer or they can ramp off with that associate's degree and be workforce ready. When you look at it with our students from more of a URM background or underserved students, we are thrilled with these statistics. We've also seen a 5% increase here, but that 20% associate's degree level increase is phenomenal. Once again, more students are getting into our KCTCS system or even some of our 4 years that do offer a 2-year program, and they are able to be workforce ready faster. This could mean they're getting their associate's degree in nursing. This could mean that they are getting a couple of certificates that are stacking. They could do human services, behavioral health. The opportunities are endless here, but we are thrilled to see this statistic. And then as you saw, a lot of those key shortage areas are in Eastern Kentucky. So when we look at Appalachian students who in a lot of ways are really commonly going back, we hope, to their hometown to serve those areas that they are from, what we are seeing is a really strong gain here as well in enrollment, specifically at the baccalaureate level. So we are thrilled to see all of these improvements over the past 2 to 3 years that we've been doing this, and we are excited to hopefully continue this through our other efforts as well. All right, so because of this, another thing that we are doing to help with the healthcare workforce recovery funds and to help get more students into those healthcare related programs is in the summer of 2025, we are thrilled to be sponsoring 12 summer bridge programs. These summer bridge programs are going to be aimed specifically at healthcare career exposure camps. We want to increase student awareness of what are healthcare careers. There are so many. How can a student feel more confident in pursuing a post-secondary education? Because constantly our workforce team is not just trying to define post-secondary education to our partners as a 4-year degree. Post-secondary can mean a standalone EMS training program. It can mean a short-term certificate. There's a ton of opportunities in post-secondary education. It's not just a traditional degree program. We want to help students understand healthcare career pathways. If they start here with a certificate, as an entry-level way to get a job and then work through their rest of their credential areas, how can they stack a certificate to an associate's degree to a 4-year degree and beyond? And then we also want to strengthen the relationships between our healthcare industry partners, so our local hospitals and primary care facilities, our local high schools, and our post-secondary institutions that are in those areas. So this year, we literally just wrapped this up last Friday. We are under contract to sponsor 12 summer bridge programs, with several being at Bellarmine, Center, Campbellsville, Lindsey Wilson, I believe, as well. And then we also have a summer bridge program at several KCTCS institutions. And we are just excited to help travel to those and see how they're doing this year. There are going to be hundreds of students based on their estimates impacted by being able to participate in these. All right. And another way that we are really focusing on the healthcare workforce is this is where my heart lies. And I promised Trinity and Robin I would not go on my soapbox today, but the Healthcare Workforce Investment Fund. So the 2 opportunities, more with the Healthcare Workforce Collaborative in the Summer Bridge, those were all funded through those recovery dollars that we received back after COVID. Now, this fund was established in a separate period in spring of 2023 and funded this past spring in 2024. And it was established through a public-private partnership legislation. And we are now seeing this being modeled more and more in other states like Louisiana. And what we want to do is basically take these dollars, get industry partners to contribute at least 50% of what is needed between them and a healthcare program, and provide scholarships to students and or award excellence in training through incentive funds. It's a lot. And so I'm going to try to just give you a really high level, quick overview and some examples. My favorite part of this is because 65% of the funds at least have to go to healthcare training scholarships. We wanted to focus a majority on the funds this year of going towards that first pool within the HWIF fund, and that is to award healthcare training partnership proposals, which would then go back into the hands of students as full tuition scholarships. I am thrilled to say later on how many we are promised to give out in the next few years as of today. But what the General Assembly really wanted us to do was to get, let's say, Morehead State University at the table with UK St. Clair. And let's say UK St. Clair really needs some bedside nurses at the ADN level, that associate's degree in nursing level. Or let's say they really need some rad techs. What they would do is UK St. Clair and then Morehead State, who has those programs, would work together, create a proposal, one for each of those academic programs. They would say, hey, here's what the full tuition is for that year. So let's say it's approximately $10,000 per year. UK St. Clair would then say, well, we need this many students over this many years. And then they would front in the proposal half of what is needed to sponsor, let's say, 10 students over 2-year scholarships. Well, then they would submit this proposal to our team at CPE. And if we deem that they meet these 4 criteria on the screen, so they address historically underserved county area, if they are improving diversity in the credential, high demand workforce area, or they're a smaller healthcare partner, that one was just asked to be prioritized. They didn't have to be less than 50 or fewer employees. That's very hard to do. We would then award them the other half. We would match their funding. Let's say they put up $100,000. We would then match at CPE with state funds that we are appropriated another $100,000. So in total, Morehead State University would be awarded $200,000 to give to students in full tuition scholarships. And those students that accept those scholarships would then go work for UK St. Clair in that credential area upon graduation for 1 or 2 years. So it's a great public-private partnership that matches basically the state priorities with industry needs and gets our programs to buy in to helping pipeline students into those high demand areas. And then we also had a second piece of the fund. This was a smaller award this year, but we were also able to give $150,000 to Eastern Kentucky University, thanks to a donation from Humana, to say, hey, you're doing a great job. You meet all these areas. You're strong with your workforce and capacity needs. You're really helping students pass their healthcare credential exam. We want you to keep doing what you're doing to pipeline students into those high workforce areas. Here's $150,000 to support that programming. All right, so before I get off my soapbox, hopefully it wasn't too long, I want you all to know that because of the Healthcare Workforce Investment Fund this year, specifically because of those healthcare training partnership proposals, we, and up from now until 2030, and we're going to still award funds every year, we hope, until then. As of today, that we've already been pledged to give 794 students full tuition scholarships across the state of Kentucky. I was shaking last week when I typed in that number, how excited I was that $13.2 million is having such a large impact. And any county that is in blue is a county that has a post-secondary program that is receiving funding from this pool. So I am thrilled to announce that number today. So all in all, before I stop talking, just know we are doing a lot to help with that issue with the capacity, the vacancy, the turnover. We are trying on the post-secondary side to really do our part. And hopefully, as we're continuing to bring in the industry partners, we're going to create more of a shared language that we can all have to get students collectively to where they need to be to serve Kentuckians. So thank you, Robin. There's all my information for today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh my goodness, Michaela, I saw some love coming up from the bottom of the screen there about your healthcare workforce initiative. Just amazing, amazing report from you today. I really appreciate it. I think those of us in education can really relate to what you've said, because a lot of the situation in the education workforce and just the need to recruit and retain, and just trying to figure out how to make this enticing to students and have a great opportunity for them at the end of their training, or even during their training is just amazing. So thank you so much for that. I was just amazed at how many options are built into what you talked about today. You know that I'm a big fan of Summer Bridge and really support Summer Bridge programs across all sectors, but I'm really excited about the Summer Bridge program for healthcare in particular. And I just am amazed at how the healthcare industry in Kentucky is such a great partner and has invested, how they have just been willing to invest so heavily. It tells us how important all of this is, and in addition to the Kentucky legislature. So thank you again. And the public and private partnerships are just, again, great for every sector. And what you all have done with healthcare is a great model for other high demand career areas and in demand career areas across our state. I do have a couple of follow-up questions for you, Michaela, just to help those of us who are in education, which I think most of the people on our webinar today are probably educators, kind of think about how to process this. Well, first of all, most of us, when we just hear healthcare, we think doctor, nurse. We kind of become limited in terms of what we think about in those careers. I know you briefly mentioned this, but I'd like to just loop back around about how we should be thinking differently about career options in healthcare and how we could talk differently to students about possible careers in healthcare.
Sure. And this is something where I was completely oblivious to all the opportunities up until I got to work in this space. Because I came from a undergraduate admissions, academic affairs background. So coming into the healthcare sector, people gave me a lot of grace, which I really appreciated to learn. And I'm continually learning about all the opportunities in healthcare. And so whenever I know a lot of the attention goes to the nurses, the doctors, and we are in such dire need of those people. They provide such a pivotal piece of the puzzle with healthcare. But you also have to think, what if a student doesn't want to go to a larger training program, but they're so interested? There's phlebotomy. What if a student's really passionate about first responders? Well, they can go be an EMS or paramedic. A lot of those even can be offered at the county training level. So a lot of your county EMS services might partner with a training program, my brother being in one right now, to get students into that first responder role. Other students may want to go to the healthcare administration side of things. Just like I always knew I wanted to go into education, I had no clue the education administration piece that helps with the programming, the HR side of things, that exists in healthcare too. So I would recommend maybe doing some exposure with local health hospitals, local primary care offices, or bringing them to the high school to just talk about, hey, I'm not on the bedside with the blood, but here's what I do. Or, hey, I run the financials for the hospital, or I do HR. And then, of course, some people will be interested in that frontline healthcare side. But there's so many different jobs out there, including mental and behavioral health. A lot now, more and more, thanks to Gen Z, we are getting a lot more spotlight on the mental and behavioral health needs. That can range anywhere from helping and supporting people from a substance abuse case to those that are just, hey, want some extra counseling from anxiety and depression. All of those are also frontline healthcare roles that we are now hearing more and more about, but they don't always require a social work or a counseling degree. You can do short-term like adult peer support specialist, family support specialist certificates as well. So there's a lot out there. It's overwhelming, but I would say really partner with your local hospital and primary care offices, health departments to help that understand to students, hey, you don't want to see blood, but you can still be in healthcare, and that's okay.
That's great advice. Educators have so much to think about these days, and they're kind of overwhelmed at trying to help students, and being in education means you're not really a healthcare expert necessarily. And so, to think about how can our K-12 educators help students understand what is out there, what are the options, and then how do I get from where I am now to that career? Like, what is it going to take to get me there? So I heard you say really partner with your local healthcare, the local healthcare industry, anyone who provides healthcare, and bring them in to the high schools to talk to students or take students to them so that they can hear directly from them. A lot of times when I hear people talk about stackable credentials
Mhm.
and certificates, I nod as if I sort of know about that, but I don't really have a deep knowledge to tell a student or help a student understand how do I get from where I am to where I want to be. And so it's an investment from the educators to say, okay, I'm going to learn about this so that I can be a good advocate or a good advisor when it comes to healthcare careers. So I'm just wondering, what is the payoff for educators who are willing to say, okay, I'm willing to pick up this healthcare initiative. And so what is in it for the local communities when
Hmm.
they make this investment?
Sure. And I would also add, I should have added earlier, talk to your local KCTCS campus or any college. I
Yeah.
know whenever I was in undergraduate recruitment, it was okay to lean on us to tell you what programs existed in the healthcare space or engineering space, whatever that may be, because we will know really well, or should know really well. A lot of the times, there's still a lot for us to know what is
Yeah.
out there. So really lean
Great
on those
advice.
post-secondary training programs and those providers as well. What's in it for the local community. And this is me being from a smaller town that is near and dear to my heart. If you have a student who is really passionate about a certain area and your industry area and your local community needs more of this or more of that, think about it. In a smaller community, especially, the hospitals and the education system are two of the larger employers a lot of times in that community. Getting students to stay in your community and understand how they can serve the local community through serving at a hospital capacity or an education capacity, it's kind of one and the same. They're going to hopefully, they are exposed to the career opportunities or get to shadow or do an industry hands-on practice with that employer. And that could be any industry area, not always, but sometimes they may feel some loyalty to stick around. And so you
Uh-huh.
might get to keep some of that talent really close to the vest. Or if they go off to do a training program, their home connection is still back in that hometown or that general geographic region. And so by getting students aware of what their own community needs for workforce, getting them opportunities to go intern or shadow maybe during the school day. Some schools offer that. I know it's harder in others. Transportation needs come into play, but giving students some hands-on opportunities to learn more from those directly in their community helps create a sense of loyalty amongst the young population.
Yeah, yeah. You and I've had some conversations about my daughter's journey toward becoming a registered nurse, and it was just amazing to me how many opportunities she had to work in healthcare within our local community. To get experience and really help her decide what she wanted to be,
Mhm.
what field in healthcare or in nursing that she really wanted to pursue. So, I think the healthcare industry is really good at giving people opportunities to learn in field experiences and on the job, and then to really reward them for that effort. So great conversation today. I don't, let's see, I think okay, there is one link in the chat for anybody who
Hmm.
wants to learn more about the investment fund that you spoke of. I don't see any other questions in the chat box for you, but if anybody has questions, please feel free to drop those into the chat, and we'll have Michaela respond to you via email, or we'll send that out after today's webinar as we always do. Michaela, I want to end today's session by using one of your own terms. What shameless plugs would you like to have the opportunity to share with our audience today?
I would say if you don't know an answer to something in the healthcare space, that's okay. and really lean on CPE or lean on your post-secondary institution. My shameless plug is there's so much money out there to help these students. Okay, the reality is a lot of our healthcare entities really need employees upon graduation. They'll help pay for the student to get credentialed. Or we have those frontline, let's get students aware before they even go into that pipeline, like the summer bridge programs. And we have funding to help pay for those summer bridge opportunities. So if there is ever a student that you are really struggling to figure out where they should land or how to help them, reach out. We would love to help them find. Not always is there a chance to get all the funding paid for their training, but a lot of times there's something out there to at least help.
All right. Well, Michaela, thank you so much for joining us today. We do appreciate the conversation. And I just want to kind of round up our conversation by saying that, Trinity and I, when we work in the dual credit and early post-secondary opportunity space, are just really focused on not just early post-secondary opportunities for the sake of those, but also with the eye on our workforce needs in Kentucky and where students can really find those opportunities to have careers that are available and options in those career ladders that will help them to advance throughout the time that they work in that career, and even opportunities, as Michaela described today, to help finance their training and their onboarding for the career that they're hoping to work in. So just really appreciate the conversation today. And we'll have more conversations about different in-demand workforce sectors and how early post-secondary opportunities can get students a jump start on those. I'm going to turn things over now to my partner in crime, Trinity Walsh, and she's going to provide us with a quick data moment.
Thanks, Robin. I appreciate it. Michaela's presented us with so much information and data today, and I'm really excited about her suggestions and all of the information she gave. I was really impressed to see the increase in student enrollment this year, as well as the number of those scholarships that have been awarded. That was fantastic. And I know that Michaela said that she got goosebumps looking at those numbers, and so did I. So I think what we need to start thinking about is how do we start encouraging this pipeline earlier? What are we doing in our secondary and even down to our middle school and elementary spaces? And I agree with Michaela that we need to start to give our students some more exposure. So I really believe that the universe gives you what you need when you need it. And so over the last week, I have been given some information that I'd love to share with you if you haven't already seen it, that connects to this topic. So as we look at what we're talking about today, just last week, CPE released some data on when employers are engaging with students during their educational career. And as you notice, there is inconsistency, and lower rates are definitely before high school graduation. So I think we have lots of opportunities to grow in this area and start to engage with our future employers by educating and partnering with them sooner. So how do we do this? And I've just got a few options to present to you today. And obviously this is not an exhaustive list. This is just a few that I know of or have been presented to me in the last week or so. So yesterday, I received an email that tomorrow, the Kentucky School Counselor Association and the Kentucky Career Center are partnering for a webinar exploring just this topic. So this is the first of 3 sessions that they're going to be providing. They say, learn how to effectively guide your students towards successful career paths and ensure they meet the career readiness standards. This webinar will help equip you with valuable insights into best practices and actionable steps to enhance career counseling and support, empowering you to make a real difference in your students' lives. The registration link is there on the screen. But I will also have it available on our post-webinar link in our toolkit as well. And if you need it before then, just shoot me a quick email and I will send you this link. But this is tomorrow at 9:30. All right. The Kentucky Health Department offers a variety of lessons for educators to explore careers in the public health sector. These activities can be done in a variety of classroom settings, and the link to that is also here on the screen, but it will also be a part of our post-webinar follow-up as well. I found that a lot of these lessons can be used in various ways. They can be used with counselors, they could be in classroom settings. So I think they're very flexible and they give students a real understanding of what is available in healthcare, just like Michaela was talking about in the various settings within that field. Over the last several days, I've done some searching and looking for programs that are available for high school students in Kentucky, most of which are connected to healthcare providers. Here are some of those that I found. And like I said, this list is not exhaustive. So if you're aware of other healthcare programs that I'm not highlighting here, please feel free to email them to me and I will make sure that they are on our toolkit so that you will have access to get to them. So we don't know all of them that are in the area or all of the areas of Kentucky, but some of those that I found were Western Kentucky University has a Health Career Explorers program. BCTC is hosting a Summer Healthcare Success Academy for high school students. Norton Healthcare offers internship opportunities for students, and they can do some job shadowing. They can do some symposiums. They can look into all of those different types of roles within healthcare. And when they go through this program, it also provides them some tuition assistance resources for post-secondary. So just like Michaela said, there's lots of money out there for students who want to go into the healthcare industries. We just have to know where to find them. And then because I am from Northern Kentucky, I am very well versed in the St. Elizabeth High School Service internships. And they offer 5 internship partner tracks. I think this program is very interesting because not only do they have a patient care track, which is your typical like nursing and doctor kinds of tracks, but they have a track for engineering facilities within the healthcare system, information technology, business, and culinary programs. So their internship program really spans a wide variety of programming within the healthcare industry. And so I think that's a really interesting take on how do we engage students who don't want to look at the blood and guts of everything, but they know that they want to do something that is a helping profession and that they want to work in the healthcare field. So this gives them some good opportunities. If you have any questions about the healthcare workforce information that you learned about today, please feel free to reach out to Leslie Sizemore or Michaela, and their information is here on the screen. It will also be listed in our post-webinar information as well. And please continue to connect with us on social media through the data center and through the CPE newsletter. We'd love to have you always know what's happening within our organization. And as we enter the holiday season and the end of the year, we're going to take a short break from our webinars, and we hope that you will come back and join us for our next webinar, which will be in February. So stay tuned for details as that information will be coming out. So have a wonderful holiday season and a break if you're afforded one. We are so grateful that you have joined us again today. We are looking forward to seeing you again in 2025. Have a wonderful week.